Back, sports fans, to another episode of the 2315 Sports Show. We're on episode 19. We're not going live this week. And also, we do have a kind of switch up here. My regular co host, Ethan, he had some emergencies come up this week, so he could not be a part of our show. So we had to pull an audible, go searching, and we have a very special guest joining us today. It is my wife, Mandy. So here she is. Welcome to the show. Thank you for stepping up, and you got some big shoes to fill. So
I
no
got
pressure.
this.
Oh, shots fired! Shots fired. So just tell them a little bit about yourself. What sports teams you root for, and like favorite app on the phone or something crazy like that.
Well, obviously I'm Bryan's wife.
Yes.
My sports teams kind of vary quite a bit. Cubs fan, but when it
Ooh.
comes to football, definitely have to root for Alabama on the college level. Pretty diehard Alabama fan. Bears and Bulls, pretty much any Chicago team besides the White Sox, and then Alabama. My big team will be Alabama that I'm rooting for. And
Hmm.
then app that I can't live without, probably Instagram. I do love Instagram, post there pretty much daily. So that's probably my go-to.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So a little bit behind. Obviously, we've been married going on 8 years now. We both love sports, which is any of you guys out there that are looking or not married, find your girl that likes sports. It's a whole lot easier for sure. Um, Also, she kind of touched on it, the Instagram stuff. She is quote unquote an influencer. That is not her full time job. We're not lucky enough to be that yet. But she does enjoy it. So yeah, I pictured her saying Instagram right off the rip. So again, thank you. Coming in clutch, had to call an audible. And you never know, it might lead into something bigger, maybe a little segment later on.
Ethan keeps
Um,
slacking on his job. I may just have to take over.
might have to. Shots fired at him. I'm not going to be too hard on him. He had a couple emergencies this week, but if he was just
Yeah.
bailing on us, yeah, I'd give him hell for that for sure. Um, we we only had one other guest on the show, and he's technically our number one still. I know that might get me brownie points shaving because you're my wife and all, but Corey has been on our show 3 times now, so you got some catching up to do,
All
to get
right.
the number 1 spot. So we have a rivalry going on. So, speaking of the number 1 spot, we're gonna jump right in here. Um, a little bit draft, a little bit NBA, and, actually probably one of our favorite events of the year because 'cause we're from Kentucky. The Kentucky Derby is this weekend, which is huge. Um, but first and foremost, the NFL draft, overall, I think it was good. Detroit did well. I think I saw the numbers. It was like over 700,000 people that joined and or came. And before the, I think the record was like only 240,000. So Detroit blew it out of the water. Um, I'm going to start by asking you your overall opinion of the draft, and then we'll start kind of diving into it a
Um,
little.
Obviously the draft we watch every year. It's one of my favorite events of the year. Like I said, a big college football person, so typically know most of the players, especially in the first round. I think this year there was a lot of talent. Obviously, a lot of quarterback talent. There was some pretty big studs in the quarterback field. So I think overall there was some pretty good picks the first round. Pretty happy with the Bears picks the
Mhm.
first round. But yeah, there was also some question marks in the first round. So I think overall, though, there's some pretty talented players out there, and I'm interested to see what they do.
Yeah, yeah, it's, we're one we used to always Ethan, that's usually on our show, we kinda touched on it last week, we always used to either go to his house or he'd come to ours, and we'd have pizza, wings, just kind of hang out, watch it. We'll watch the first round. We wouldn't watch
Mhm.
probably anymore. Um, kind of like, I mean, not now, but kind of like now, we only watch really the first round. It's, you know, the ones we're gonna know, and then the ones that we know from the first round that drop into the second, then we're kind of done after that. I mean, and then you got your kind of cool picks like Western Kentucky quarterback got picked up, and some others. So I think I think it was a good draft. Um, I'm gonna dive in. What was your top pick? Like not like not the top pick. Obviously, we all know who that is, but your favorite pick of the draft, I should say.
There's obviously there was quite a few of them. I will say that I think Malik Neighbors is going to be a stud. Unfortunately, doesn't really have the quarterback to throw to him, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. But I definitely think he's a stud. But honestly, I think my favorite pick is definitely Caleb Williams. I was very skeptical. I will admit I was one of the skeptical people at first because you hear all of the media reports and you
Mhm.
don't know if they're blowing smoke or if it's true. But he seemed super excited to be in Chicago. He seemed super excited to be with the team. And so I really think that that excitement is what we need brought to the team. I think that's kind of a little bit of what's been lacking lately. I liked Justin Fields and I still like
Mhm.
Justin Fields and I hope he does good at Pittsburgh. But I just feel like we needed, I mean, after going through it and going through the off season where it's like, are they keeping him? Are they not? I think the team needed that excitement and needed that football mindset back. And so I'm really excited to see what he does and see what he brings to the table.
Yep. Yep. I was that way too. Um, I was a full on Justin Fields guy. Um, Coming out of college, I really didn't want him to get rid of him for Caleb Williams. But he kind of, I said this last week. He changed my mind. Obviously, leading up to the draft, some of the stuff that was being said, kind of before, way before, like, he wasn't a good teammate. He wasn't this. He wasn't that. And you take that with a grain of salt because the media is going to turn anything they want the way they want it. So he kind of the week leading up, or the few days before, he kind of grew on me, when we saw him pictured with Roma Dunze, who actually ended up going to the Bears as well. Um, and all the things that he threw with him, he did this, he did that. So he was showing really well. And the minute I started getting excited for him was when he was first announced at the draft. They line up all the ones that are in the green room there. He was the last one, of course, announced, and he came out just amped. Like, none of the other ones did it. All the other ones had their phones out. They had this, they had that. He was just amped and looked right at the Bears fan. So it kind of was that was refreshing. And then I also said this past week as well, when his name got called and he was heading to the podium to Roger Goodell. He came out of the tunnel and he was just, hyped. He was jacked. And I said it last week. I said, once I saw that, I'm ready to run through a fucking wall for him. Like, I'm ready. Like, bring him on. Um, he's obviously, I mean, any Bears fan, he's going to be our favorite pick of the draft. So I kind of went a little different. Actually, still a Bears pick. Um, in the fourth round, the Bears decided to take this punter out of Iowa, and his name is Torrey Taylor. And I think he's New Zealand or Australian, one of the two. Um, and he is a dominant punter. Like, Iowa didn't score many points. They haven't in a couple years, but they won because of him. I think he had some ungodly numbers of punts that landed inside the 5. Um, I mean, so I kind of like it. And I saw an interview from Ryan, or from the McAfee show with Ryan Poles, that they picked him because Poles likes the field change. Like he likes to be able to switch the field like that. So I like it. I like that pick. I think it was one of the best. My other one, probably the best. I'm gonna say I like Brock Bowers to the Raiders too. I know they're in a kind of quarterback question mark. I think they have Gardner Minshew, maybe.
I think they traded for him or signed him, one of the two.
So he's a winner. He was a winner at the Colts. Um, that's intriguing to me, especially with Devontae Adams. That'll help Devontae Adams a lot, I think. So I like that pick as well. Um, so with the favorites, we also have our least favorite pick of the draft. And who do you got for that?
I have two, and it has nothing to do with the players. Like
Mhm,
nothing to do with the players at all. Number one is Michael Penix Jr. to the Falcons.
mhm,
I like Michael Penix Jr. I think he is a stud. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I just don't fully understand the pick. You go and sign Kirk Cousins, and I understand like all these people are preaching like he's older, he's coming off injury, whatever. You're not going to sign that dude to that money and that contract if you have doubts. So
mm,
therefore, they believe that he's okay, he's fine. We've seen him dance on the stage at the Epsies, and he seemed perfectly fine. Um,
mhm,
so I think that that pick just doesn't make sense to me. And I know that everybody is like comparing it to the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love thing, where they, brought just keep bringing in quarterbacks to develop. And I get that a quarterback has to develop, but Kirk Cousins is on the contract for 3 years at least.
mhm,
So you're gonna sit Michael Penix Jr. for 3 years. I mean, and obviously things can happen. He can get hurt, but barring any of that, like you're going to sit this kid for 3 years. I just don't fully understand why, especially in the division that they're in, why they wouldn't just go get more help. Like, I don't care if it's defense, offense, whatever. But a quarterback there just doesn't, I just don't understand that move. And again, like I said, nothing against Penix because he is a star and we all saw that,
mhm,
but I just don't understand why they wouldn't want to beef up their team to possibly go far. Because, like I said, they could easily win their division, and then if you beef up the team even more, you can easily make a run in the playoffs. We've all seen Kirk Cousins at his peak performance. He's really, really good. So
mhm,
that just didn't make sense to me at all. And then another one, and this is just kind of like I don't know. To me, it's like, are you dumb? Is when the Bills traded their pick to the Chiefs and they picked Xavier Worthy from Texas. Listen, I don't care if the Chiefs are going to draft a trash can. If I'm the Bills, I am not giving them a pick. Like they've
I
kicked
agree.
your ass
Yep.
over and over and over again. I'm not giving them a pick. They can take a paper bag for all I care. They're not getting my pick. But you gave them this pick and they got a wide receiver. And I believe he was the fastest wide receiver
Yes.
in the draft. And no, no chance in hell. You've kicked our ass. I'm not giving you anything.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Buffalo really. I mean, yeah, you want to move down and you want to build, but it wasn't the time to do it. You got rid of all your wide receivers, and I'm sure Josh Allen wasn't very pleased. I mean, they did end up getting a decent wide receiver. He was at Florida State,
Keon
but
Coleman.
yeah, but uh, I mean, I think they could have got him with their second round pick.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if he or they could have
Well,
moved up in the second round.
he did
Honestly,
go in the second round. He was the first pick of the second round.
right?
Um, but I don't know. I just don't understand why you give the Chiefs anything else.
Yeah, no, I there's no way they've beat, and then you losing a lot. You've lost your your number one receiver and your number two. So, I mean, you got to give Josh Allen weapons. I mean, he is Superman, but he's not that Superman.
Mm-mm.
Um, so okay, I agree. I agree with both of them. I think everyone is confused by the Michael Penix um, pick. I can kind of rationalize it just because. Okay, so I can rationalize it if it was a later pick. I can't rationalize it at 8. I think they were. I think they were right before us. Um, I can't. I just can't rationalize sitting an 8th pick 3 years, assuming Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt. And you gave him all that guaranteed money. Like I don't see it, but I also do see you. There was a run on quarterbacks in the first round, and they were worried they were going to miss out. Well, I would have played the odds and picked a weapon to go with Kirk Cousins instead of draft a quarterback there. I would have drafted one third, second, third, whatever you want to do. So I agree with that. My other one, and it might surprise people, and he was actually technically said earlier tonight, Malik Neighbors. I am not 100% sold on that pick for the Giants because you have to have someone to throw it to, throw at him the ball. I don't know if Daniel Jones can do that. I simply can't. I don't think their backup that came in last year can do it. I mean, he was cool. He was like the Italian guy. I don't even know his name, but I just I don't like it per se. I mean, he's a hell of a player, but I don't like it at all. So those would have been my two worst quote unquote picks. Not based on the player, but more so the fit of the team. And then do you have I'm gonna spring this one on you. Do you have an underrated player that's going to be better than where they were picked from?
Wow, you put me on the spot. I don't even remember all of the guy. Okay, go for it.
All right. So I kind of said it a little last week, but I really think Bo Nix, where he went, who the coach is, the weapons they have, I think he was probably the underrated pick that people are writing off that I really think he's going to be really good for that team. And he'll end up being the starting quarterback.
Yeah. I definitely think Bo Nix is definitely kind of a sleeper, quote unquote. I mean, he was picked in the first round still, but he's still a sleeper. I'm gonna go with, and only because I know he balled out at Bama every year he was there, and he's got a hell of a good quarterback where he went. I'm gonna go with Jermaine Burton because he went to the Bengals with Joey B, and he was a hell of a wide receiver at Alabama. And I think that with Joey B there, he could be a hell of a wide receiver at Cincinnati. So he actually went in the 3rd round. So I think that's a pretty good pickup for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. Anybody that goes with Joey B is going to be just fine.
And anybody that came from Nick Saban is going to be just fine.
Well, I don't know. He's had some duds. We'll see how Bryce Young.
Not at wide receiver.
No, we'll see how Bryce Young fares. He's still too new, but with that being said, again, true, and they aren't helping him any. But with that being said, again, draft season's over. I'm sure everyone's now sick and tired of hearing about it. Now they just want to see the players they drafted be on the field. So I know I'm ready. I'm ready to see Williams and Odunze with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift out there. So, and our punter's going to be, it might be the jersey I buy. Straight up, been thinking about one. So moving on. The only other kind of big thing we have, I mean, we have baseball every day, which a lot of people don't care. I mean, we do, but a lot of people don't care about hearing it every day because it's the beginning of the season. They're like 30 games in, I think, so, or a month in. So the only big thing is the NBA playoffs. And we're somewhat still in the first round. There is a second round semifinals matchup already set. I'm going to run through the teams. So the Thunder beat the Pelicans. They are in the semifinals. Clippers and Mavs actually just we're filming this on Thursday, so Wednesday. Um, the Dallas took the lead. Dallas looked impressive last night, and AKA it was Luka Doncic's flu game. He was sick, so that was kind of cool. We had the Timberwolves sweeping the Suns, which we'll get into that a little later, I think. And then the Nuggets beating the Lakers 4-1. So that is your Western Conference side. So right now in the semifinals, we have Thunder to play the winner of the Clippers Mavs. And then the only one that is set is the Western. It's the Timberwolves and Nuggets. So the East, the only one that is through is Boston, and they won again last night. They beat the brakes off Miami as they should have. We have probably the most. Before I looked at this, didn't even know what this series was. The Cavaliers and Magic. Cleveland just went up 3-2, and they play tomorrow. Currently, the Bucks and Pacers are playing right now, and Indiana leads that series. And then again, probably the best or the playoff round is the Knicks and Sixers so far. That's been a very physical, very, very interesting series. So moving forward, what's anything stand out so far in the first round?
Well, I think honestly, it's how the Timberwolves played. I didn't have them sweeping the Suns on my bingo card, and nothing against them because Ant Edwards is a baller. But you would just think with Devin Booker and KD that the Suns would compete, and they didn't. Like they didn't show up. I don't know what happened to KD. He's off in an island somewhere because he's not playing basketball. That's for sure. So the Timberwolves sweeping them was not on my bingo card. I thought that was going to be a little more competitive than what it actually was. And it wasn't. Another thing that is unfortunate is the Heat. Jimmy Butler was out. They had some other injuries. And so that series is always a really, really good one. And it just wasn't this time around because the Heat was missing so many key pieces. But I think that I honestly think Milwaukee's going to lose tonight. I think they're going to be out. And I know they have obviously Giannis out. Dame was out. I'm pretty sure he's still out tonight. I don't think he returned, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think regardless, they're going to lose. And I don't. Again, it goes back to I don't know why they hired Doc Rivers. I'm not hating on him at all, but he didn't have a good resume when they hired him. So why would you go back to that? So you obviously said it. The Knicks and the 76ers have been just elite basketball. This series has been fantastic. And I'm honestly I think it could go to 7. Like it's just been that good that it's gone back and forth so much. And then I mean, obviously Embiid, we all know how much of a baller he is. He plays hard, he plays good. He's had a few
Yeah, he has.
dirty moves. But I mean, the teams have just been really, really just playing outstanding basketball.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So a couple of them. I thought the Thunder were going to win. I didn't think they were going to sweep the Pelicans. Thunder looked very impressive to me for how young they are because they're very young. Um, the Clippers and Mavericks has been a very good series. Underwhelming for the Clippers. They should have already been done, but with Kawhi out, it's a big loss. You said I don't think anyone had the Timberwolves sweeping the Suns beside Timberwolves fans. But Anthony Edwards is that guy. He's going to be the NBA within the next year or two. He's spectacular and he's a killer. He has that Kobe Michael edge that he's coming for you and it don't matter. And that was seen against Durant. So I like that. The Nuggets I had winning against the Lakers. The Lakers they fold. I mean they're too old. Um, they can't keep up, and two, they always fold. And the Ham coach isn't well. I think he's getting fired this week, but he's not a basketball coach. He's not that great. So um, I like the Nuggets in that one. As far as Celtics Heat, I figured the Celtics were going to win, even with or without Jimmy Butler. It didn't matter. I don't think. I don't know as it would have went 4-1. I maybe would have given them 2 games, but that's about it. Again, Magic Cleveland, I don't care because they're going to get routed in the next round by Celtics. I like the Pacers as well. I think they're going to win tonight. And actually, Dame Lillard is back tonight.
Oh,
But I don't think it's going to matter. Giannis is still out. I said before, I didn't care if Giannis was in. I think the Pacers are going to win. And then lastly, the Knicks and Sixers. I think the Knicks close it out tonight in Philly. I don't know. They're playing with an edge, and it's going to carry over to a hostile environment. So that'll be a good game. That'll be after the Pacer game tonight. So good stuff. Really, the only one we can talk about in the semifinals is the Timberwolves and Nuggets. The Timberwolves and Nuggets is a very interesting matchup to me. I don't know. You almost have to go Nuggets just because they're returning champs. They have the same players. Jamal Murray is on a freaking tear. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Nuggets just on the experience, but I think it's gonna go 7 games. So
I definitely think it's going to be a competitive series, especially with the momentum that the Timberwolves are carrying into it. That'll play a huge part into it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won the first game of the series just because they have that momentum. But I ultimately think the Nuggets are going to win too. They've been there, they know how to play, they know what to do, and they're on a mission to win again. And that's simply that. And I think that they're going to ultimately pull it off, but I do think it's going to be a competitive series, and I think it's going to go 6 to 7 games for sure.
I agree. So that's pretty much the NBA playoffs so far. I actually think I hate to say it, but I think the Suns should blow it up too. It's just not going to work unless they add a point guard, but it's not going to work, or a different coach maybe. I don't know, but Bradley Beal should have been their catalyst to get him over everything, and he isn't. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's just first year stuff. Who knows? But that's the NBA. That's where we're at today. So probably going way off topic. It's one of the most. It is the most watched 3 minutes in sports. It's the Kentucky Derby is Saturday, first weekend of May, first Saturday in May, and it is the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, which is a huge number. We were going to try and go to that, but I think a kid took priority to go into the Derby, so we'll take her a few years down the line. But it's always a great event. It's our home state. It's something we take pride in as Kentuckians. One of the few things we can take pride in. Unless you're a Louisville or Kentucky fan, we don't have. I mean, there's no pro sports, so it's kind of tough. And so this is the one event where the whole world's watching, and it's a very expensive event, very inclusive to celebrities. It's all the stuff, but then you have normal people there that have been going there for the last 50 years. So it's a great event. It's really fun. If you guys haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's sometimes it can take your breath away because it's that exhilarating. And it can change an owner's life. It can change a jockey's life. So of the pick, I'm not going to go through all the horses here because there's about 21, and I would bet 8 of them are going to get scratched by the time the Derby happens. That usually happens. So first look just at the names themselves. Who's your horse this year?
So this is just strictly on the names. Usually I look at the horse and like pick by the
Oh yeah.
horse, but this is just names. I'm gonna go with Track Phantom or Fierceness. Those are two that stuck out to me immediately. So those are my two picks just based off the names.
Okay. So I'm looking at odds, and Fierceness right now is actually the favorite. He's a 5 to
Hmm.
2. So he must be pretty damn good. That's what that pretty much means. Fierceness, that has to be something Taylor Swift related, I'm assuming. So,
Fearless is, but not
okay.
fierceness. But we're close.
Okay. I like Track Phantom. That's a good name. So based off the names themselves, I'll pick out two. I'm gonna say I like Grand Mo the first. Sounds very nostalgic. And give me just a touch.
Just a touch.
I mean, what more can you ask for? You just want a touch, right? You just want a touch. So that's what I'm gonna go with. And actually, we should just bet on Grand Mo the first because he's a 50 to 1.
Oh,
So
we
he
should.
he must not be very liked, obviously. But you got to bet an underdog because that's a monstrous payday if that happens. So again, you guys can go on, look up Kentucky Derby. You'll get all the horses' names. There are some good ones. Um, but I like those. Mandy, my wife, obviously likes Fierceness and Track Phantom. Track Phantom's a good name. That's kind of an
That's a cool name.
intimidating name. And
I know.
actually, if I'm looking, there's 2 of them that are from Japan,
Oh,
which
really?
that's a hell of a flight for a horse. Um, that's interesting. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them got scratched just because of the travel. And I mean, they're there, but so yeah, it's the most watched 3 minutes in sports. That's Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky, or Louisville, as they say back home. Um, with a big thing of tobacco in your mouth or whatever you want to put in there.
Zens now. Isn't that the new thing?
Zins, yes, yeah. For us millennials, that's we don't do the chew or the dip anymore, I guess. But also big thing there. All the ladies wear hats, of course. Fancy dresses, fancy suits. We have mint juleps are big, which are, in my opinion, actually very disgusting. I don't know if you've had one or not, but
I have not.
they're
No.
pretty gross. I'd just rather have the bourbon that's out of it instead of
Yeah.
mixing it with the crap. But which I would assume the bourbon, it doesn't say in here, but it usually is. It's probably Woodford, if I had to guess. They're usually the prime sponsor of that, which is also Kentucky. So um, good weekend in sports coming up. We have obviously the NBA playoffs still. We have kind of the downslide of the draft, which that's over with. We can actually look forward to baseball season now. Hockey playoffs are going on right now. Um, I can honestly say I don't follow a lot of hockey unless the Blackhawks are in it, because if they're not in it, I don't care. Um, and then we have the Derby this weekend. This is the first one of the Triple Crown, so big weekend. 1st of May. So hopefully wherever you are listening, it's getting warmer. I know it is here, which is awesome.
Thank goodness.
Thank God. Um, so to my wife, anything else you would like to say to the people? Speak to the people.
Well, the only thing going back to the hockey that I know is that the Bruins are leading the Maple Leafs, which everybody thought the Maple Leafs was going to win that series. So I do know that.
Hmm,
That's about the
What's
only hockey related playoff thing that I know because I haven't
okay?
seen it much.
Okay.
I follow NASCAR a lot. They're at Kansas this weekend.
NASCAR.
I I don't really know anything else that's going on with like um they're
Where are they at?
they're at Kansas.
Kansas.
So I don't know anything that's going on with like their practicing, qualifying, or whatever. I haven't seen that, but they're at Kansas this weekend. I think that last year's winner was maybe Denny, or maybe that was 2 years ago. Not sure.
Probably. He's a beast. He's a goat.
But I know that Kansas has been known to start a little bit of chaos because people's wrecked there quite a bit.
Okay.
That's last year. I don't know if you remember, but that's when Noah Gregson and Ross Chastain got into it.
Oh, you gotta love
Yeah, I
that.
think it was Ross Chastain.
Probably.
So they got into it there last year. So Kansas is known to cause a little bit of fireworks, but
Okay.
so we'll see what happens on Sunday. And then this is random, but I follow
Random.
WWE as well. Have because my dad watched it when I was a kid, so I've just kind of like fell in line with that. And they have
Okay.
Backlash on Saturday in France, so it's like Saturday at noon our
Yeah.
time or 11 our time.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of early, but they have some pretty good matches going on there. So yeah, that's about all that's going on this weekend, though.
Are there any upsets on the WWE thing this weekend?
I wouldn't necessarily say an upset, but I think the women's tag titles are gonna change. I think that Bianca and Jade are gonna win those because they are freaking dominant. I mean,
That chick's a beast.
if you have not seen Jade Cargill, I don't care if you're a WWE fan or not,
Yeah.
you need to Google her because she is a freaking beast. Like she is awesome. So I think that they're gonna win those, and I'm kind of iffy on the Jey Uso Damian Priest match. Damian Priest obviously just won the title at WrestleMania, but Jey has gotten a huge push lately, and I could see two different storylines coming up on that one. I could see either the Judgment Day causing Damian to lose the belt, or there's been rumors that Jacob Fatu is going to premiere, and he's signed with WWE, which is another Bloodline member. Which, if you're not
Lord.
familiar with the WWE, the Bloodline is a big group of family. It consists of Roman and The Rock and the Usos and so on and so forth. And I think that either the Judgment Day could cost Damien or Jacob could show up and cost Jay. So I'm not 100% sure on that one. I go back and forth. I kind of think Jay deserves it because he's had such a good singles run lately. But I'm not 100% sure if they're going to take the belt from Damien that fast.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know though. They could. Yeah. So going on that Jade Cargill woman, you guys should really look her up. She is I mean, it might sound weird, but she is a athletic specimen. Like the amount of muscle and toneness and pure just athleticism is insane. She's impressive. Like woman or not, woman, man, she's probably the most impressive one there. And I don't care to say that because she's a beast. She's incredible. So that pretty much does it for tonight. So again, thank you for joining us. As always, I mean, you look good in front of the camera. You're hot, obviously. So might have to bring you on again.
You have to say that, though.
I don't have to.
You would get in trouble if you didn't.
Exactly. I wouldn't have a computer or a house to do anything in. So, So again, thank you to the hottest woman in the world, my wife, Mandy. We appreciate it. And who knows what the future holds? You might have a spot here at the 23 XV Sports. So we gotta look at some numbers. Got to crunch it. Can't afford too many guests at this point. But
have me and Ethan on. We could debate since we go back and forth naturally, anyways.
Well, debating on sports, not just debating just to debate. There's a big difference.
Well,
yes,
we've known each other for a very long time, so
true.
At least we get along.
That's true. That's another. Hey, guys out there, make sure your friends get along with your future wives, girlfriends, wives, however you want to put it. So, with that, Ethan is not here. He does our outro usually, so I'm not even going to try to do it the same as him. So if you guys would just like and subscribe on YouTube. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can also follow us on TikTok. We also have a Facebook page as well. So until next week, peace.